Hello, hello, everybody. Hi, guys. Good to see you. Let me just check things out here. I'm not in my normal space. Big surprise. I am staying with my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter this week. So here I am. Yep, tucked away in a bedroom. But it looks like everything looks good. So it's good to see you guys. Hi, everybody. Okay. Oh my gosh, the heat is really warm here. So yeah, I'm just trying to stay cool as possible. All right. So hello, hello. We'll say hello to everybody. Thank you for the love hearts. I'm assuming that means you can see and hear me okay. And we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm just doing a quick. I heard this really cool term as everybody starts to jump on. I heard this really cool term this week called. It's for YouTube, and it's called Grandpa Video. And I think it's awesome. Grandpa Video is where people my age and older are jumping onto YouTube to share their experience, to share their life, just to share and just to just go naturally, totally natural, no thumbnails, no editing, no nothing. They just jump on and start sharing, and it is like the latest thing. So I think I was ahead of the curve. We'll call it Grandma Video. Okay, so for those of you who are joining me for the first time, my name is Elaine. I am an animal Reiki master. I'm known as the Animal Reiki Lady. I am an animal Reiki master, animal chaplain, animal medium, and we have this beautiful program here every Monday night called SoulPet, and it is dedicated to everyone who has experienced the loss of an animal companion. So for all of our beautiful pets at the Rainbow Bridge, this video is for you. We are a beautiful community. If you look in the comments, you will see an amazing community of people who have come together to support each other. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We are going to talk about community. And this came about because, and I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in coincidence. There are synchronicities. And there was something put out earlier this week or last week by, oh gosh, I don't even know the guy's title. Somebody in the cabinet of the president who is, on his way out along with the president. And it was, anyway, I can't remember his name. Surgeon General, maybe it was a Surgeon General. But anyway, he said one of the things that he sees as problematic with our country and in general is that there's a lack of community. And I think it inspired me because I know that we have a wonderful community here and there is no lack of community. And we may have felt that individually when we have felt isolated by our grief for our animal companion because we had no place to express ourselves and to share. And that thought about community, and that he encouraged everyone just to go find your people, go find your tribe, go find your community. And I don't care what your politics are. I don't talk politics. I don't care what those are. I believe that to be true. I believe that we need to find our tribe. And when we do, the sense of completeness and the sense of belonging and the sense of not being judged and not having to fear what you say, not having to hold in your emotions or just not be yourself, not be your true authentic self. That's what this community is all about, supporting each other through our grief over the loss of our animal companions. Okay, so before we get started on that topic, though, I called it the power of healing through shared stories. And what I did was earlier today, I reached out to the formal community. So for those of you who have joined the channel as members, and if you haven't, I encourage you to. It's it's my YouTube channel /join. And there should be a join button right on my page also. You can join as a community member. And I reached out to the members today and said, just tell me a story that you want to share about your animal companions, because I want to share those on your behalf. Now, once a month, members get together on a Zoom call. And I know there was a question about that going through the comments I see. Once a month, we have a live Zoom call. And that's when we all jump on together and we can talk and interact. But for this, the live stream, it happens every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central, 6 Mountain Time. And I say these things because I don't know where in the world I might be at any point in time. I know Kelly, I know you're going to be watching this on the replay. Kelly is in the UK, and there it is, I want to say 11 o'clock, doing my math in my head. It's 11 o'clock in London. So she'll catch us in the morning, but this is going to every single Monday. We've done it now for over a year. We've been doing it since January of 2024. And it is just an amazing place for us to get together and talk about our animals. So I'm going to be sharing all your stories. For all of you who sent me stories earlier, I'm going to share those because there's a purpose behind it. But first, I'm going to go ahead and say hello to everybody. for those of you watching the replay, just go ahead and scroll forward just a couple of minutes so that if you don't want to sit through all this. But I like to welcome everybody who's part of the community and everybody who takes the time to comment. I love to say hello and greet you to the channel. So let's go see who we have. So Kelly has already let me know it's 11 o'clock in London. And bedtime. Yeah, for me too. By 11 o'clock, yep, this pumpkin has gone to sleep. Magnificent sales. Lauren, I think that is right. Good to see you here. Z. Oh, right. So there's no Zoom, Z. That only happens once a month for members only. And it's at this point, it's been on Saturday mornings. I may switch that up a little bit. Sharon, good to see you. Yes, you're right. It will not be a Zoom. Pat, awesome to have you here. Pat, my muse who comes up with the best questions. I did see your post. I checked the comment. I checked the stories right before I jumped on, so I know about Logan, and we'll go ahead and make sure that we share. Collie, good to see you. Sherry, good to see you. Cheryl, awesome, listening from the kitchen. Oh, I hope you're cooking something good. Oh, I went too fast. Hang on, let me scroll back. Posted on the members post earlier, but you adopted Ozzy. So what a blessing for Ozzy. What an absolute blessing for Ozzy. And Jody, hello, it's good to see you. And let's see who else we have here. And we got a lot of people in Canada. Jody, good to see you. Other Jody, good to see you too. Kathy, hello. All right, you guys chat amongst yourselves where you're located. And Donna, awesome to see you. I'm just scrolling through real quick to say hello to everybody. Fatima, it is so nice to see you. Okay, so let's begin. I love this idea of shared stories. And we're also, oh, by the way, Z, we're going to talk, we are definitely going to, you would like that, you requested a little reading for pockets. So we're going to go ahead and do that this evening too. Instead of sharing a story, I will share a little bit more that pockets may have to share with you and with everybody on the channel. Florida Eastern time. Okay. Florida. Yeah, I'll be in Florida next week. And I did have to go ahead. I said earlier that I was going to have like an in-person get together. It's just not going to work out. I have family down in Florida, and there's been some unexpected things that happened. So I'm just going to Florida next week to support my family. I'll be there to give them some support and just to help out a little bit. But I will be there at least my body will be there, but I won't be able to hold a little class, a little get together like I wanted to. Near Buffalo, New York, spent time in the falls, Toronto, Ontario. Okay. All right, you guys, it is great to have you here. So what do we want to talk about tonight? I want to talk about the healing power of shared stories. And this came up not only as a sense of community. So we are really developing a strong community here. There is a group of people who are on here regularly, almost every single Monday. And then it's so interesting too, because when somebody kind of drops off, we notice and we reach out, like for Kimmy. So Kimmy Cat, if you are watching this on the replay, know that we all say hello to you. We all miss you, and we hope that everything is well, and we hold you close in our thoughts and look forward to the day that you are back in our little community. Anyway, can't remember where that was going from. I just thought of Kimmy Cat as I was looking at some of your hearts and some of your waving hands and some of your praying hands and hugs. Yep. So the healing power of shared stories, because of the community, we have developed here in this beautiful YouTube channel, on this SoulPet channel, a wonderful group of supportive people. Every single one of us has experienced the passing of our animal companion. And we talk about all kinds of things. We support each other through grief. We encourage each other. We lift each other up. We are there to give virtual hugs. We are also there to give encouragement when we talk about fostering, when we talk about bringing in another animal companion to our home, when we cry, when we talk about the things that are hard to get through. All of these things, you guys have been a wonderful support to each other. When someone new joins the channel, or when someone new just shows up on the live stream and posts a comment about their animal companion passing, every single person shares not only condolences, but shares their heartfelt support. Our hearts go out to each other and to every single person who watches this video, whether it is right now live, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's a year from now, whether it's 10 years from now. That is the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that this will always be here. It's like no other platform. It's like no other, it's not like Instagram. It's not like Facebook. It's none of that. None of it. This is here for a long, long time. So whoever watches this, know that our heart is with you whenever it is that you happen to see this. So we're going to talk about the healing power of shared stories, because shared stories is a great way to build community. Now, I've been doing a little series on LinkedIn because I, as you know, excuse me, am a corporate dropout. I spent 35 years in corporate. The last 15 of that I spent as an HR executive. And in that role is when I was my least compassionate. I believe in my heart that I was a pretty good HR person. I was supportive of all the employees who worked for our company, but I did not have the level of compassion that I have now for those who had lost an animal companion. And now that I understand, now that I've seen, now that I've had my own connections with my animals who have crossed to the other side, and all of the amazing connections I've made with your animal companions that you've allowed me to connect with, my perspective has changed so much that I've become an animal chaplain now. And this is all I ever want to do. It's all I ever want to do, is be able to help people work through the anticipatory grief of an animal who may be reaching that time that's end of life, or once they've crossed, how to help you recognize that you're still connected to your animal companion. And I don't say that in a way that is trite, or it's not just I'm not just saying it to make you feel better. I'm saying it because I know it to be true. And we're gonna see a little bit more about that, especially when we start to talk about pockets and when I share all your amazing stories. So sharing stories is a great way to make that connection. And if there are people in the workplace, I mentioned that I started doing this series on LinkedIn, and it's a series about compassion in the workplace, and that grief seems to be a topic that's off the table. We don't talk about grief in the workplace. We certainly don't talk about grief when it comes to the loss of our animal companions in the workplace. And for those of us who hold regular jobs, like 9 to 5 jobs, or even if it's not 9 to 5, you know what I mean. Um, it becomes challenging. It's hard for us. Work continues, even though our heart may be way back here. We've got to keep on going. So I've been trying to post some things about how people can be recognize that their grief is valid and how to deal with it in the workplace. And then also advice to workplaces. How can you be more supportive of your coworkers, and how can organizations be more supportive to people who are experiencing grief, because it's valid and it's real and it's true. And one of the ways that I think is a really good way, and if I could get in front of every HR director in the whole wide world, I would suggest this, that when you have got an employee who is in the thick of it, when that grief is so strong and so fresh, or not so fresh, to encourage them to share a story. I think sharing stories not only creates community, but it can help heal. It can help a heart heal when you ask a person to just share with you about their animal companion. And tonight, when I read the stories that you guys have shared with me to share with the community, I'm going to do my best to read them the way that I think that you intended them. But know that even then, my words are not your words. So feel free, put comments in. If I'm missing anything, put comments in. If there's anything you want to add to a story. If you did not get to send me a story ahead of time, go ahead and put something in the comments. And I'm going to try to read those all to you. And when we do it, when it comes time for that, I invite you to close your eyes if you can. Now, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. It's so silly that we have to say that, but we do. This is grandma, this is grandma video, and we have no rules here. So just be safe, But I invite you to close your eyes when I tell you these stories, because I really want you to feel into them. And when I talk about sharing stories, it's not necessarily sharing stories of their passing. It's sharing stories of your memories. It's sharing stories of your most beautiful moments with them. And I'm going to start with my own Winston, because he's got a really unique story. So what is that story that made your animal companion more special than any other animal companion? Or that thing that they did, or anything, any story that makes your heart open a little bit, that makes you smile, that brings fondness to mind, that allows you to feel happy, even just for a moment as you share the joy of that story. That's why we kind of share those stories. And I have a couple more ideas about why storytelling, in particular, telling a story about an animal companion, can be so compelling and so healing. So this beautiful healing power of shared stories. So I'm going to share, of course. Now this time I'm not at a place where I could print out my notes. So I did all of my automatic writing. Again, if you're new to the channel, that is how I receive my messages. Whether it is the messages I share right now, like this, I trust that the animal companions on the other side of life are inspiring me to speak the words that need to be spoken. Whatever I say, I trust that there's someone who needs to hear it, and I generally write it all down. So I sit quietly before each video and I get out my plain old notebook. My plain old notebook. That's it. 99 cents at the grocery store. I get out my plain old notebook. I've got my Bic pen. I sit down with my pen and paper. I ask the question, what is it I need to speak about tonight? What message do you, and when I say you, I'm talking to animals on the other side, all of your beautiful animal companions and the animal companions who I do not even know. For some human companion who is watching this 5 years from now, your animal companion has no sense of time. There's no time on the other side, and they are speaking to you directly tonight as you're watching this video. So I take and I write down everything. I just begin to write and I let it flow, flow, flow. And whatever comes to my mind, I share with you. And when I do private readings, I do the same thing. I do not filter. So whatever comes through, I share. And I believe that some things aren't going to make sense right away, but some things are going to make incredible sense. Or 2 weeks from now, you're going to go, oh, I have to go back and re-watch that video because all of a sudden things started to click. All right, before I go any further, I'm going to check comments because I see them scrolling by. I try not to get too distracted, but it's grandma video. So let's see what we've got. Jody and both Jodys. Hi, Jodys. It's good to see you guys. Animals are pure unconditional love. There is nothing conditional about their love, even when we joke about cats, because cats we know are very self-aware, and the kitty cats, we think that they're judging us, but really they're not. They just know how superior they are to human beings. And don't worry, so Cheryl says, I'm really bad at remembering names. I joke that the only names I ever remember are animal names. So I can remember Logan, I can remember Phoebe, I can remember Buckley, I know all the animal names, but it takes me a minute to tie them to their people. Pat, Logan, Phoebe, Sherry. It takes me a hot minute to get all the names. So don't worry about that. More compassion on the work floor. In general, and this is not just even related to pets, I think our organizations need to be much more compassionate. And I thought we were going that way. I really thought in 2020, when the whole world shut down and it was a reset, when we all went through that reset, and I know that I personally experienced it, that is despite all the things that went on in the world during that time, I felt the shift. That's when I felt it even stronger than ever before. For me, this awakening, if that's what you want to call it, a little bit of an overused term, began when I was 52. So that was about 11, 12 years ago. It began then, but it really hit its crescendo when it was 2020, and we had to do things all differently. And people recognized that the way we had set up the workforce was not working. It wasn't working. And so anyhow, regardless, I'm not going to go down that whole road, except to say that I thought we might be moving in the direction of a more compassionate lifestyle where we weren't tied to our desks, where we did not have to sit in 2-hour commutes, where we did not have bosses who didn't understand, where we did not have that cold corporate culture, where it was one that was open and accepting and willing to help people find the job that was meant for them, the thing that they were meant to do, not just the thing they were going to get paid for. I think we have kind of drifted a little away from that. I still remain cautiously optimistic, but I do believe that we need so much more compassion on all levels in the workplace. So much more compassion. Okay, so let's keep looking at Winston looks like such a sweet boy. I can't wait to share Winston's story. I have shared some of it before. I have shared much of it, I think, but I don't think I shared all of it. So I'm going to share Winston's story because it lights me up. And my goal with sharing all of your stories is to help all of you uplift. When you hear somebody, it's one of the ways that we can actually help ourselves heal is to not only tell the story of our animal companion, but listen to someone else's story. When you can hear someone just sharing the memory, creating the legacy for their animal companion at the Rainbow Bridge, it helps your heart heal as well. Gary's air bark, little huffs. Such a soft sound from a 120-pound dog. Those are the kinds of memories. Those are the kinds of memories, the things that melt your heart. Um, Robbie Dill isn't here. Oh, so you look 18th. You're so cute. That's funny. Maybe Robbie will show up. Robbie has reached out before, by the way, just to talk a little bit about, I don't know if it's him or her animal companion. I look so much younger. Well, thank you so much. I do sincerely appreciate that. And I think, should you guys ever have a chance to meet in person, which is my goal someday, I might look a little bit different than the beautiful camera and its wonderful filters. Okay, regardless, let's talk about sharing stories. Here is why I think sharing stories is so important. Because when we are grieving and we are suppressing that grief, think about in the workplace, that's where this particularly came from. But it's more than in the workplace because sometimes it's with friends and family members who really don't understand the depth of our grief. And then they don't know how to deal with it because they don't understand how deeply connected we were to our animal companions. For those of us who have found our animals to be soulmates, soul pets, not just dogs, not just cats, not just horses, not just I deal with snakes and bearded dragons and turtles and what was the other? Oh, a chinchilla. So every flavor of animal companion who has joined our lives, they're family members. It's a member of our family. And there are some people in the workplace whose sole family member is their animal companion. And for that, we need an intense degree of compassion. But for the workplace, for family and friends who do not understand, for those of us who feel that we've got to suffer in silence, that we have got to grieve in silence, that we have got to bottle it up, hold it in, suck it up, buttercup, it's just not the right thing to do. It's isolating. That is the word I wanted to go with. It's isolating. It makes us feel separate. It makes us feel apart. It makes us feel alone. And that's the last thing that we want. And that's the last thing we need when we are trying to heal. So that's the first reason why I think shared stories are important. And if you're not sure that you have a community, or if you're watching this and you're not even sure how to interact with this community, I promise you, first of all, that there's not a person in this community who is not supportive. And you can reach out to any of us. You could put any comment in there. I try to look at every single comment that gets posted on my videos, but so do you guys. You guys also support each other and respond to each other's comments. So I do have some suggestions for how you might create a community or how you might access a community. I'll tell you that in just a little bit. But storytelling helps to bridge the gap. So it keeps your animal companion's memory alive. Not just alive, but it makes it still feel real. Sometimes it doesn't, like they're passing and they're crossing and 3 years from now, and you're going, it just still, I still can't even wrap my mind around the fact that Jack is not with me. I'm using that as an example. Telling stories about Jack and the way he would stretch, telling stories about Jack and the fact that I swear he was a cat in dog's clothing. Telling those kinds of stories keeps him alive. It keeps him alive in my heart. It keeps him alive. Just speaking his name out loud keeps him alive. Sharing a story helps others respond. So it reminds us that love is real, grief is real, memories are alive. So when we are commenting on each other's posts or the things that we're commenting on in the comments, when we tell actual stories, it reminds us how much we still love our animal companion, and even if it's smiling through tears or having that memory while crying, that's okay. It's totally okay. But it helps others respond when we tell our story. That's why I say, if you can listen to somebody else's story, it's just as beneficial for you. keeps their memory alive. Grief is real. Love is real. I love this turn of phrase, circle of empathy, a circle of empathy. It's one thing to have sympathy, and sympathy is where someone says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. Please accept my condolences. You have my sincere sympathies." That is somebody feeling for you. But then there's empathy, and empathy is a whole different animal. Empathy means that they understand exactly where you come from because they have felt the same thing. They feel your feelings. They know your feelings, and because they do, they validate it for you. They validate those feelings. So sharing a story creates a circle of empathy, and that's really what this community is here. Look at all you guys with your comments. Um, it's a circle of empathy that we are holding each other. We are holding each other here in this beautiful circle. And then when somebody steps forward, that like happens in the comments all the time, when somebody steps forward and expresses their sorrow, we are right here with a virtual hug. Every single person reaches out and with that beautiful virtual hug, and you find yourself literally embraced, even if we aren't in the same room with you. I am a Reiki master, and in the world of Reiki, we believe that there's no such thing as distance. That the beautiful healing energy of love flows to, through, around everything, and there is nothing that separates us. When we send out that virtual hug, everybody receives that virtual hug. Your heart does not need to be in the same room as my heart in order to feel the love that I send to you. So feel yourself embraced in a circle of empathy. It does keep your animal spirit alive. When someone, I love this, and this happened last Saturday. I think we talked about it. I can't, all my weeks have kind of run together. It keeps their spirit alive. When someone speaks your name, you never truly die. That's kind of what I wrote here, but I mean that for our animals. When we speak their name, it's a way of keeping them alive with us. When I say my own, so I'm going to just say my own, my Jack, my Lucy, my Winston, my Zoe, my Jake, all of those beautiful animal companions, it keeps them alive. It keeps them alive in our heart. Now, when I said all the names, you guys know this when we met. Hi, Ocean Lee. How are you? I think that Ocean Lee, you've been sending me some messages on Messenger. I'm so far behind on that kind of stuff. I don't do well at keeping up with that with Messenger. But hello, and thank you for joining us tonight, and also in Canada. So that's pretty cool. So where was I? Keeping the spirit alive. Oh, when someone speaks their name. So when we had the Zoom call for members, if you're not a channel member, the Zoom call that I talk about is for those of you who sign up to be actual channel members. And it's super affordable. It's not like, you're not paying, you're just paying a couple dollars a month. And it just brings a couple little extra things. Like you get a little badge, you get private messages from me, you get also readings, and also this once a month Zoom we've started now on Saturdays. When we were doing the Zoom in January, we did the Zoom call, and I couldn't see it, but you guys sure could. Sharon could. I don't know who else could. But as I was saying animal names, they could see flashes of light and orbs behind me. And that is, it's one of those beautiful signs. Sometimes we go a little bit on the hairy fairy side here. We definitely talk woo and all of the spiritual metaphysical things that go along with staying connected to animal companions on the other side. And orbs is one of them. We've talked about this before, and I won't get into it too much tonight. We can always talk about it again, as I usually do, come up with these topics from time to time. That orbs are one way. It's just a form of energy. That's all it is. There's nothing mysterious about it. There's nothing supernatural about it. It's just a way of our animal companions getting our attention by accessing energy, and they send those little flashes of light. So as I was calling animal companions' names, people could see that little flash of light. And I know that is our animal companions reaching through to us to let us know that they are still by our side. When we speak their name, and this comes in all types of different cultural traditions. It's not just, I'm not just saying it. It's something in the Polynesian tradition. There's so many cultural traditions that believe that a piece of the soul, whether it's any soul, does not matter, animal, human, plant, anything that has a soul, which I believe is everything, but a piece of that remains in the physical And when we say their name, it calls on that energy. It calls on that piece of them that stays right here with us, and it makes them feel alive. So when I say Phoebe, when I say Buckley, when I say Logan or Cuda, all of those beautiful animal names, when I say Pockets, those names, it calls them to life. It calls them into, if not physical existence, their energetic spirit is still here with us when we say their name. It also creates a legacy. It creates a legacy, telling a story about them. Jack has a legacy now. Winston has a legacy. Lucy has a legacy. Lucy's legacy is so real, it's tattooed on my arm. Um, all animals, when we start to tell their story, they live forever through their legacy. And we will pass that story on. Even as new animal companions come into our life, we will always continue to tell those stories of the animals who were our soul pets. Um, and then collective healing journey. That was the other phrase that I really liked today. Collective healing journey. When we share stories, we don't just help ourselves heal. We aren't helping another person heal. We are helping all of us heal. And I would like you all to consider this. Everybody who's on this live stream right now, who is putting things into the comments, you are helping those in the future who don't even know that we exist right now. Wrap your mind around that one. There are some people who will not see this video for years. They will see it when their animal companion crosses to the other side. And when they do, they will find a message of hope and healing. And it's because you have helped to create this beautiful, not just, what did I call it? Oh, collective healing journey and circle of empathy. So we are going far beyond just supporting each other here in the present moment in 2025. February 2025 is where we are right now, kids. That's where we are right now. So how would you create your own? And then I'm going to do the readings, and then we'll talk a little bit about pockets. How do you create your own community or ask others to join ours? So there's a couple things that you can do that will extend this community. If you know people whose animal companions have crossed and you think would benefit from these messages, ask them to join this community. The more we can get the word out there, the bigger this community becomes, the more that we can create this beautiful healing environment. Or you can create your own community. And by that, you don't have to do this. You don't have to turn on your camera. You don't have to start talking. You don't have to do any of that. But I would invite you to find a way to share stories, whether it's with a next door neighbor, a family member, a coworker. You begin just to share a story, but more than sharing your own, you ask if they would share theirs. You ask if they would share theirs. Because grief in silence, and sometimes we don't even know when people are suffering silently. We don't even know that they are mired in grief. And when we ask, just tell me a little story about your kitty cat. Let them talk. Let them talk, and that creates, even if it's just two people, it's a community. So be a space for someone else. Then you could also, here's two ideas that I had that I thought could really help if you are not in a place. So maybe you don't know anybody who's going to share a story with an animal companion. Go to a shelter and sit with any animal and just think about what their story might be. Make one up if you want to. Create a story for them. Think about in your mind what an amazing story you would tell about this beautiful border collie who's right now in a kennel at a shelter. Create the story in your mind and kind of share it with that animal. Let them know what a beautiful animal you think they are and where you think they came from. And that's it's really a form of Reiki to be able to share that mental picture, mental story that all is well and what a beautiful story they have to tell and that their forever family is waiting. Pets are interfering with the frequencies from the other side. All right. Yes. Are we back on, please? Somebody give me a thumbs up, some hearts, anything. Let me know that you can see and hear me okay, that I'm not frozen. I got a yay from Jody, so I'm guessing that means that everything is all right. Yes. Okay. Good. All right. We are back at it. All right. So it's time for some stories. I'm going to start with Winston's story, and then What I will do is I have to like go I have all the stories in the comments of the post that I made for members, so I'm gonna have to go read that. So I won't be able to see your comments as I'm doing that, but, Jen, you wanna go to Canada? But let me start with the story of Winston. And this is the way I would love for you to tell your story. The story of Winston is the story of how he came into my life. And the story of Winston is that he was, I was staying in my RV. I was at the top of a mountain in a very remote location. I was on my own. It was just me. My hubby was doing a job in a different state, and I was living at the top of a mountain, feeling all pioneer woman I was pulling it off. I did it for a year all by myself, loving every minute of it, enjoying being with my wildlife, enjoying being on among the trees, among the birds, with the sun and the moon and the stars, and it was so amazing. But one day when I walked outside the RV, Winston was underneath the RV, and he was a little King Charles Cavalier, and he was just shaking and quaking, and he wouldn't come when I called. He would look at me, but wouldn't do anything, and I had to crawl under the RV and actually get him. And when I pulled him out from underneath the RV, he just didn't respond. It's not that he didn't respond very well, but he was afraid. He was clearly very afraid. He was covered in mud. The picture that I posted, I posted a picture of him. It might just been for members. I'll post a picture for everybody for you guys to see him. He was covered in mud. He was covered in dirt. I did take a picture after I got him cleaned up, because I was going to post it. I was going to see if I could put it out there to find out who his people might be. He was covered in green pollen. Where I was staying was in the late spring, and that green pollen was everywhere. It's the kind that coats your cars, and he was covered in green. So I brushed him off, and he was in pretty rough shape physically. I'm thinking that he had either walked a long distance or he'd been out in the woods for a while. Don't even know how he got there. So I say that angels dropped him there. There's no way for him to have gotten where he got, unless somebody snuck up through the woods and just plopped him there. So I say that angels dropped him off there. And I took him I took him to the local veterinarian. I took him to the shelter. I took him to see if he was microchipped. He was not wearing a collar. He did not have a name tag. Didn't know anything about him. He had a distended penis. So his little thingy was hanging out. We had to have a little bit of medical work done. And when I took him to the veterinarian and they said there was no microchip, they did say he was totally deaf, that he couldn't hear a thing. And then also that he had a grade 6 heart murmur. And they showed me how you could feel his heart beating outside of his chest. That's how bad his heart murmur was. Grade 6 heart murmur and congestive heart failure. And they recommended to me that he was not, he was in rough enough shape that if I wanted to assist his crossing, that they would do that. And I absolutely did not. First of all, because I wasn't even sure that he didn't have his home yet, that he still didn't have a home to go back to. And then when we realized that there was nobody coming for him, I posted him on all the websites. I posted him at the animal shelter. I posted him with the veterinarian. Nothing. So I decided I would keep him. And my veterinarian, amazing veterinarian, said they would provide all of his medical care for free. That if I was going to keep him, whatever he needed, they thought it was going to be just medication for his congestive heart failure. There was nothing to do about his being deaf, but that they would do his visit. They would give him his shots. Everything was going to be no charge, which was just amazing that they would do that. So I did that. And then the vet said to me, but here's the thing. He's probably just got a couple weeks at the most. So he's got 1 or 2 weeks. Take him home, give him a cheeseburger, make him comfortable, let him know he's loved, and don't expect to spend much time with him. Well, I laugh to this day that it was the cheeseburger that did the trick, because I did just that. I bought a cheeseburger. I came back with Winston and we sat down, and even Jack and Lucy got to have some of the cheeseburger. Gave him a cheeseburger, and Winston, I'm telling you, this was before I realized how deeply connected I was to animals. I swear Winston said, "Oh my God, I've already died and gone to heaven. I am staying right here with this chick who gives me the cheeseburgers." And he was with me for 2.5 years, not 2.5 weeks. He was with me for 2.5 years after that. They suspect that he was about 13 years old. when I got him, and they think that the only explanation that the veterinarian could come up with was that his human companions could either not afford his medical care or weren't interested in giving him that medical care and maybe couldn't afford for an assisted crossing, so they just left him in the woods. Um, Sometimes the decisions we people make questionable, but I'm not here to judge. I'm here to unconditionally love. Anyway, I'm grateful because Winston got to stay with me and he turned out to be my soul dog. Now, we know Jack and Lucy, oh, they've been with me forever. They will be with me forever. Winston went, accompanied me everywhere. Jack and Lucy were homebodies. They liked staying home. Winston needed to be with me everywhere, every car ride, every trip, every you name it, and Winston went there with me. And yes, whoever asked the question about Winston hugging me, that's where he went. Winston is the one who would he just cuddled right there all the time, and that smile, that silly little smile on his face. Yeah, he was such an amazing. So that's the kind of story that you want to tell. You want to tell the story that makes your heart sing. You want to tell the story that shares the unique little piece of them. So those are the kinds of stories that we're going to share now. Winston couldn't hear with his ears, but he heard with his heart. Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. And that Gypsy can't see with her eyes. Oh, but she can see. Oh my gosh, can she see? Right now, she's out in the other room with my granddaughter, and my granddaughter's only 18 months old. She does not know that Gypsy is blind. She doesn't know what that means. And her and Gypsy play, they run, they have no trouble. Yep, it's just, Gypsy's an amazing soul too. Okay, so I am going to, that's it. Good food, right? We all love good food. Heartbreaking I try to hole in my heart when I think about judging the person or people who let Winston go. I think maybe they couldn't bear the thought of his assisted crossing, and I've done a video about this before. It's been a while, but I say, you don't have the money for the veterinary care. There are some people who find that they don't have the financial means for the veterinary care that's required. Angels guided Winston. Angels guided Winston to me. I needed Winston as much as he needed me, and the two of us had 2.5 wonderful years together. Asked if Winston was the dog who cuddled you right before you said it. Yes. Yep, that was it. Okay. So let me read your stories now. So I'm going to go, and there's just a couple of them, and I'm going to try to read them to the best of my ability. And then I will check the comments when that's all done. So I'm not going to be able to see comments as I do this, you guys, and you can go ahead and comment to each other. I swear I had this open. Okay, so let's do, I'm going to refresh that page just to make sure I haven't missed any stories. And let's go with comments. Okay. All right, so let's begin with Pat and Logan. So Logan, I'm just going to read this for you guys, and these are short stories. These are super short stories. Logan was my true soul pet. He came to me as a rehome from a young couple who bred old English bulldogs. He had been both their personal pet and a stud dog, and at 4 years old, they retired him. As their business grew, they unfortunately had less time for him and decided to rehome him. Pat had lost previous bulldog 3 years earlier, decided on a shelter rescue, but told that he was in medical quarantine. So I began researching bulldog breeders in the state where I live. The last contact was to this couple who told me about Logan, not wanting to raise a puppy at this time. He was the perfect age. I understand that too. Senior dogs for me all the way through. For 9.5 years, we had the best life. He passed in 2022. Because of the grief I felt for him, I started looking at YouTube videos of people going through the same grief process. There we go, that sense of community. Found another channel similar to this one, didn't feel the connection. Stumbling on Elaine's channel. I love that. Stumbling, our beautiful animal companions. You guys know this. They're the ones who prompted me even to create this channel. This was nowhere in my radar. Did I ever think that I would be doing this? So stumbling on Elaine's channel, I felt an immediate connection to her as if I'd known her for years. Oh, that makes me feel so good. I feel the same about you guys. I've never met, I don't think, well, one or two of you I've met in person or at least on Zoom calls. But I feel like I've known you guys forever. Known her forever being a skeptic, not convinced of the ability to speak to our past fur babies because we think that they are gone somewhere, but they're right here. After Elaine did this reading, I became a believer. As I've said before, I have no doubt that Logan led me to this channel 100%. I hope other members feel the same way. Thank you, Elaine, for being our guide on this journey, hopefully for many years to come. You are so welcome, Pat. You are so welcome. And I am truly honored to be that guide. So thank you for sharing Logan with us. Logan, thank you. Thank you, Logan, for connecting us. I could just see that face. I can just see this beautiful bulldog face. Let's go to Timmy. So this is a story about Timmy. Timmy, the one who's not a cat. Timmy, the dog. From Timmy's Human. I just arrived in Canada in 2018, and 4 days later, I went for a walk in nature with my father. Timmy was off leash. I love off leash walks. That's my comment. Timmy was off leash. That's how I walked him almost always in the Netherlands. Oh, very cool, in the Netherlands, when it was safe to do so, like in forests and large parks. Anyhow, a man was coming our way with 2 bull mastiffs and an American bulldog, off leash as well. Timmy was already running towards the man with the dogs, and my heart started pounding, and I tried not to feel fear, as that would be felt by the dogs. Very true, as that would be felt by the dogs, and then things could go wrong. But I could not feel afraid. But the dogs were 175 pounds or something like that, and Timmy was only 14 pounds. And then what I was afraid of happened. The 2 mastiffs attacked Timmy. It was a big wrestle. I started screaming at the top of my lungs, thinking I was watching Timmy going to be shredded, and that was going to be the end of my dog. The owner of the 2 giant dogs was also in shock. He tried to calm them. It all happened so fast. He eventually decided to throw himself with his full body weight onto one of his dogs. They all calmed down. And guess what? Timmy did not have a scratch. Nothing happened to him. The man apologized. He was as shaken as we were. We continued our walk after this event, and Timmy behaved as if nothing had happened. His character and his behavior were not affected, and he remained his happy self. The man called the next day to ask if everything was okay. It certainly was. What an amazing story to tell us how resilient our animals can be. And I think that's also a reflection of us. So that is a reflection of Timmy's Human. And that's Jody, if I'm not mistaken, right? That is a reflection of our ability to maintain our own calm. Also helps them maintain their calm. So awesome for you, Timmy. I love it, love it, love it. Let's see, what else have I got here? Let's go with Benny. Benny's the next story. So Sharon's Benny. What a beautiful, you're talking about Winston. What a beautiful, sweet boy. So my little Benny came to me a few weeks after I lost, excuse me. Okay, Benny, right in the middle of saying that sentence. Sharon is saying, my little Benny came to me a few weeks after I lost my husband, 3 weeks after I lost my father. So getting a puppy was the last thing on my mind. I was just trying to get through the day. My son's girlfriend wanted one, so I went with him, and she went to a puppy store. I just looked around, not even caring what was going on, and she picked out a little Pom mix, and my son named him Benny. Don't know why. After a few weeks of realizing how much work he would be, she wanted to take him back. And I said absolutely not, because I was falling in love with him. Make a long story short, he was my savior. Now, these are all Sharon's words. He was my savior. We just looked at each other and knew what the other was thinking. I would have done anything for that little guy, anything. He gave me 15 years of pure joy. He was starting to pass out a few times a day, and I thought that it was his trachea, or so I was told. And one day in September of 2023, he ran out into the yard. He passed out, and he never regained consciousness. I felt my heart being ripped from my body, and I truly wished to go with him. And as I've said before, I don't know how I found Elaine. Well, we now know, right? We know it's Benny. We know it's the Logans. We know it's Timmy. As I've said before, I don't know how I found Elaine, but she was a lifesaver. All of you also keep me going. I know I will be with my sweet boy one day, but I know I have to keep going until that time comes, because he would want me to. He loved his life, his walks, his parks, his car rides. That is a beautiful share. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Sharon. And that is really what they want from us. That's not just Benny's message to us. all of our animal companions. They want us to live the best life possible, and they're right here with us. When we get to the little message from Pockets, you'll see that there's an amazing message of hope and resilience there. All right, so let's go with, and I'm hoping these messages, if they are tears, that they're tears of tears through smiles, smiles through tears. Phoebe. Phoebe was so funny. So this is Sherry's Phoebe. When we took her off into the streets, when we took her off the streets, we took her in off the streets. She fought us hard with an outdoor bath. Next time was indoors, where she walked up the side of the tub backwards. I thought she was going to flip right over. It was a sight to see. She clearly didn't like her bath, said Phoebe. After that, she got better. Until one day I threw my arms around her soapy body and praised her, and she smiled. She was enjoying it. And then she found out that she would get a treat too. And from that day forward, every shower I took, she pushed the curtain back to say hello. I'm shocked she didn't get right in the shower with you. The sound of water was no longer a scary thing. I miss her nose still. She would never get in the pool. That was just a fear too big to conquer. Oh, but what a beautiful thing. What a fun memory to think about. Sometimes our doggies are so afraid of the tub. So very cute. Thank you. Who do I have now? Buckley. All right. So I don't see Buckley's human on here this evening. So I just love, but I could be wrong about that. So Buckley's human, Astro Bubbers. I spoke to you about my beautiful boy, Buckley. He died from an accident. It was really hard on me because it was preventable, and you helped me not to blame myself. You let me know that it didn't matter how long it had been. If I'd asked him to come back, he would try to figure it out. I don't know if he's come back to me, but I did ask him to either come back or to send me a new boy that was just like him. And you're not going to believe this. If you only knew how many times I heard that. You're not going to believe this, but I did get a new boy last month. He looks just like him. His background is basically the same, both from the puppy mills. I'm assuming a rescue from the puppy mills. I call him Bradley in honor of Buckley. Thank you for helping us, Elaine. You are so welcome. And I love those stories. And you're not the only one who's shared that story recently. When I get this sense from animal companions, and it's more than a sense, that they are coming back. It's not just that they're coming back. It's that we can ask them back. We have the ability within us to go quiet, to let everything else go. If nothing else, nothing is more important, nothing, than this beautiful connection to our animal companions. We can go quiet, we can go silent, setting the intention that nothing is more important than connecting with our animal companion. And we can say, it's time. I need you back in my life. It's time. Show up for me. Let's decide how that might look, or surprise me and let me know how that might look. But I'm ready. Please come back to me. They will come back to you. It's not that it's their soul out there somewhere that's gone, oh, I got to find my way back. What if she misses me? What if she doesn't see me? What if I come back as a cat? You are so connected to your soul pet that there is no question that if you ask them to return, they will come back to you, and you'll know it. You'll just know it. Just the way that this person knows it with Bradley. You'll know when they have returned. Okay, next one. We're almost done. I have this might be the last one. And then we'll talk about, let me just keep an eye on the time. All right, then we are going to talk about Pockets. I adopted Ozzy on Sunday. Woohoo! 3 out of my 3 foster attempts have been failures. I got a call that he had a meet and greet. I fell apart completely. Ozzy came over that he got a meet and greet. Ozzy came over to me, put his paws on my legs as you cried. He was holding on to me. I got up and went into my bedroom where Gary and Potato's ashes are. I sat on the bed saying, I'm not ready, but I don't think I can let you go, Ozzy. Ozzy jumped up on the bed and laid right in my lap. An 80-pound pity mix just became a lap dog. He rested his head on me as I held him. I felt his little paw grab my leg like he didn't want to let go either. We went for the meet and greet, and prior to the potential adopter meeting him, I told the staff that unless this guy seemed perfect, I was going to adopt Ozzy. As nice as the guy was, he didn't show up to meet Ozzy, but a different dog. Ozzy should never have been someone's second choice. The staff gave me huge hugs. They were in tears, so happy for us. Although he's been with me since mid-December, when we got home after his official adoption, I told him, "You are home for good, Ozzy." It's going to make me cry. Ah, told him, "You're home for good, Ozzy." He let out the biggest sigh, and last night he cuddled into me like he never has before. Gary and Potato brought us together, I'm sure of it. And that's the other thing. You can always ask to be connected to your next animal companion. Gary and Potato brought us together, I'm sure of it. I'm still not ready to adopt, but are we ever? There you go. Are we ever? Even Gypsy, you guys know this. Gypsy was not on my radar, and now I couldn't do it without her. Couldn't do it without her. Okay, so those are all the stories I've got. I'm going to just come back to this video and hope that that I haven't lost you guys. Puppy mills are illegal. Yeah, it's Logan hated baths. You all have helped each other. You all have helped each other so much. I love being the voice. I do. I have to say I enjoy this. I love this part of it, but I can't take any of the credit. I say with the beautiful animals, they're sparks of God. They are sparks of the divine. They are the divine, right? Dog is just God spelled the other way. Um, they're just such beautiful souls, and they are the ones who inspire me to share these messages. So I want to share about pockets, and then we are at an hour, so I just want to keep track of times. All the wonderful stories, great stories. I know, for Ozzy. Oh my gosh, for Ozzy. Listening to these stories, that's what I want to help heal our heart. Even when there were little sad bits, there were a couple sad little moments. It doesn't matter, because the end result is the uplift of our heart. So let's talk about pockets. This is just a little reading for pockets. I wanted to share a message from pockets. Pockets human. So Z for pockets. Wanted to had a couple questions. One of the questions was about signs. We're going to come back to signs. But one of the questions was, is he happy in heaven? Z, I'm going to share with you now. I know you're fairly new to the channel, so some of these messages aren't repeats. Some of you guys have heard me say these things before. They are that yes, Pockets is absolutely happy. But guess where heaven is? It's right next to you. When they leave us, wrong phrase. When they leave their physical body, so when their physical body is done and their soul leaves that physical body, there's no separation. So it's an instantaneous thing. There's not even, the word instantaneous is too long for what happens. Their soul was in their body one moment, it is out of their body the next. It doesn't leave you. We talk about the Rainbow Bridge as this beautiful place, heaven, up there in the clouds, up there in the sky. And our animal companions are there waiting for us for the time when we come to the Rainbow Bridge, and then we can cross it together. It's right next to you. They do not leave you. They are right by your side, always and forever. Not only are they in your heart, which they are. I know that Lucy is so deep in my heart. I know she went into my heart and became part of my heart. But they are right there. This beautiful field of, sorry, I'm bumping into, if you could just see the little setup I've got going on here. This beautiful field of energy, this field of love that flows to, through, and around us. It is the fabric of the whole universe. We can't see it. We think that the space that we can't see anything in is empty. We think the space between here and the wall is empty. It's not. It is so full. It is fuller than we can possibly imagine, with every single animal and person who has ever been part of your life through all lifetimes. I can go way deep if you want me to, through every lifetime across all time and space. Any connection that you've ever had with a beautiful, loving soul is right here with you now. Your Pockets is right there. I know that it feels like loss. I know that it feels like separation. I know that it is perceived that Pockets is no longer here because he's not in a physical body. But guess what? He is right here. And I know, I'm hoping, I'm so optimistic that by the time this little reading is over, you'll be able to get a sense of him right next to you. So one of the questions was, is he sending signs? I am going to come back to that. I'm coming back to signs. The other question was, is my frequency so low, which does happen with grief, guilt, remorse, anger, hatred, resentment, all of those denser emotions. I call them dense, not negative. We're human beings. We have feelings for a reason. We feel through them, and we learn how to uplift ourselves, how to overcome them, how to uplift. That's the best word for it. So, is my frequency too low to connect? Am I missing the signs because of my low frequency? So that's a real in the spiritual community. It's often talked about. If your frequency is too low, you'll never connect. And I've even said this: if your frequency is down here and their frequency is up here, then the two of you cannot connect. So when you're feeling the denser emotions of grief and anger and loss and that depth of despair, it's true that they won't, and neither will we. Once we learn how to be up here, we don't want to come down here. We don't want to lower our own vibration. But so we're hanging out down here because we're sad, and they have crossed. They're on the other side. They are now part of this beautiful field of loving energy that's all around us. But their vibration, whew, it is super high. It is riding high. It's riding up here. So how do you connect then? I say take the elevator. That's why I love the shared stories. If you are in the garage and you're in the basement garage and they're in the penthouse, you share a story, and it's like the two of you taking an elevator to the lobby. They'll meet you part way. They might not come all the way down here, but they'll meet you part way. And when that happens, that's when you know that you'll be able to, they're sending you signs all the time, but that's when you can see the actual signs that they're sending. So is your frequency too low? Yeah, if it is, don't worry about it. Sorry, I've just got a little hairband in my hair. It's driving me crazy. If it is, don't worry about it. It's okay. Think of a happy memory. Go out and watch the sunset. Go out and listen to the birds in the backyard. Have somebody share a story about their animal companion. Read a good book. Read a good tale. Read anything at all that will help raise it just a little bit, and they'll come down and meet you the rest of the way. So don't be too harsh on yourself for low frequency. Don't think that you're doing something wrong. Like, oh gosh, I'm never going to be able to connect because my frequency is so low. Can't shake it. It's all right. It's totally all right. You just need to start moving the needle one bit at a time. Abraham Hicks is the one who says you can't get from despair to glee in one step. You've got to take baby steps. So if you get from despair to anger, that's a step in the right direction. If you get from anger to neutral, okay, that's a step in the right direction. And then if you can find a moment of happiness, something makes you smile, and each time it gets higher and higher and higher. So it will be okay, even if you're feeling that dense energy. And then I don't remember my dreams. So how do I get a message? All right. So let's talk about the signs. This is what Pockets had to say. Pockets likes to use sound. So there are lots of sounds that he sends. I had the weirdest sound in my ear, like a xylophone. Do you know what I'm talking about? That thing, ding, 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 ding. Do you know what I'm talking about? So a xylophone is the sound that I heard. And then the letters Z, as I was thinking of xylophone, even though, is that spelled with a Z or an X? I don't even know. ZZ Top, that just popped into my mind. Now, I do no filtering when I give these messages. So even if it means nothing now, maybe it will in the near future. He says, look at the moon. Go out and look at the moon and ask for a feeling. Ask for a feeling as you're looking at the moon, and you will know that that's a sign from him. And then he said he did send a sign on your birthday. I don't know when your birthday is, but it says he sent you a big sign on your birthday. He wants you to sit down and remember what happened on your birthday and know that it was a sign that he sent you. As for the dreams, he also had a suggestion for how to get, and we talked about this during dreaming incubation. You might want to go back one or two videos, how they come to us in our dreams. And there's a thing I call it dream incubation, which is how you are the one who, it's your dreams. They're not random. You can actually control your dreams, even if you don't remember them. What I suggest is keeping a pen and paper right by your bedside. When you go to bed at night, it's that sweet spot between awake and asleep, right when you're drifting off. And I know that you've connected with Pocket Z. I'm certain of this. And that sweet spot right between awake and asleep, you set the intention that you would like to receive a message from Pockets. A message or a sign, doesn't matter, whatever you ask for, just let them know that you're ready. And fall asleep. Just let yourself go to sleep. Don't worry about whether or not you dream. When you wake up in the morning, before you do anything, don't go pee, don't go get a drink of water, nothing. I want you to pick up your pen and paper, and I want you to write down the first thoughts that come into your mind, whatever they may be. That's the message. But as soon as you get up and start moving around, it kind of just, kind of like fluffs away like gossamer wings or whatever that's called. So that is the way that you can access through your dreams. Depression, is the depression keeping? No, don't worry. We've all gone through depression. There's a lot of anxiety and depression out there, and people judge themselves so harshly, and they think that they're doing something wrong. It's okay. It's okay. You take it one step at a time, one day at a time. You have good days, you have bad days, you've got ups, you've got downs. Stay connected with this community. You'll end up with more ups than you do downs. Who met pockets on the other side? All right. Z, I know you know the answer to this. Who met pockets on the other side? Your friends are going to tell you over here in the comments. You met pockets on the other side. But more than that, so by that, I mean your higher self. And we talked about this a couple of videos ago also. The greater part of your soul remains in this beautiful field of love. And when your animal companion leaves their physical body, you are still right there with them, both in the physical and in the non-physical. Your animal companion is not alone. Sometimes they do have other souls there to greet them. All the time, there's other souls there to greet them. There are angels, and whatever your belief in angels may be, I'm not telling anybody that you have to believe in angels, and everybody's version of angel may be something different. Raised in a Christian household, I know that my version of what an angel looks like might not be somebody else's version, but I see them as beautiful lights of energy, beautiful lights of energy. When I close my eyes, I can see almost like a manta ray, this beautiful thing that floats behind my eyelids. That's how I picture angels. That's how I picture the angel that greeted Jack and Lucy and Winston and Jake and Zoe. That's who I pictured. So there's always someone there to greet them. I also know that my father was there to greet them. And how do I know? Just because I go into meditation and I ask to connect. I ask God, and I use the word God, whatever your version of a higher power is. I ask God just to show me what they experienced when they left their physical body. And I can see my father and an older brother that I never had. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. And in this beautiful vision, I'm shown my father and an older brother that never came into the physical. And they are there with all the dogs that ever were part of our family. And that's what I get from that. So there can be any number of souls on the other side that are there to greet them. And that's also all you need to do is ask. If you would like to know the real answer to that question, like exactly, do it at the dream state. Do it as you're drifting off to sleep at night. And then ask to be shown who was there for them. When you wake up in the morning, first thing that pops into your mind, the very first thing, don't doubt it, don't question it, don't second guess it. Write it down, and that's what it will be. Not in a place other than right here. Okay, so we talked about that. Oh, then sound. So he uses sound. There are going to be unusual sounds, and then something about a squeaky. There was a squeaky noise, like the stroller. I know that Pockets was in a stroller. I'm pretty sure that's right. Was there a squeak? Was there a specific sound that stroller made? He sends you that sound all the time. And did he watch TV? I heard the sound of ratcheting also, like a clickety, clickety, clickety noise. I can't quite describe what it was, but so sound is what he wants you to listen for, that whenever you hear an unusual sound, it's going to be him sending that through. So I'm just going to read the comments here real quick. We're all here for one another. Yes, we are. Right, just to help carry the load, to help carry the burden. We are absolutely here for each other. Quit painting after, Buckley. Hey, how are you? After Buckley died, he turned on the TV 4 times in the art room. That's how they do it. We just need to be consciously aware. When we start being focused, and that's one way actually, even to help through depression and anxiety, if we can teach ourselves to be aware at this moment in time, it's very easy to get wrapped up in default. We just get into this default mode. We have habits. We do the same thing every single day. We get up and make a cup of coffee. We do this, we do that, and we go to work and we just sit in the car and the next thing you know, the whole day has gone on default. When we can become consciously aware of where we are at any moment in time, that's when we start to see the signs. Become aware and look for the signs. And those things, the manipulation of energy, easy energy, breaking our connection here this evening, making the lights flicker, making sounds, orbs, making something in the clouds, a coin that shows up. We've talked, I mean, I'm going to get you guys the picture of the dime that showed up from my father. Coins that show up, feathers, praying mantis, dragonflies, all of those things. Keep yourself aware. I would start to make a little journal. Write down every time you see it, because the more you make yourself consciously aware of it, the more those things will become regular to you. It'll become normalized, and you'll recognize not only are you receiving signs, but you're receiving those signs because your animal companion is right there with you, guiding you, helping you, understanding the life that you live, and able to offer you the guidance and support even from the other side. Such a wreck after Rosie died. Reread all the Harry Potter books. Okay, yeah, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Yes, I've heard things. Okay, that's it. Sound is clearly what came through from Pockets. You heard a xylophone, but I thought I was imagining it because nothing could make that sound. It's not our imagination, right? That's what we want to say. Just in my head, it was just my imagination. That is incredible. Incredible. Okay. What's Pockets trying to tell me? Well, so Pockets is trying to tell you. So let's just see if I get this, because Pockets is actually telling you that you already know. I am not getting something specific. And this is just because I usually sit in advance and kind of connect with them and write down what comes through. So this is just off the cuff. That Pockets is saying you already know. You know what the answer is. You know what the message is. You can get a specific message from Pockets just by doing the same thing. You can ask. You sit down and you can ask and just begin to write whatever comes through to you. Pockets is willing to send you. Those signs are not your message. Those signs are your indication that he's still with you. And then you can ask him anything you want. Don't worry. You're not going to hurt his feelings. You're not going to mess anything up. You're not going to do it wrong. You can ask your animal companion. They're extensions of God. You can ask them anything you want and get the answer. You just have to trust it. You have to, and that's the only message that's coming through from him. I'm not getting anything else specific beyond that. Okay, Jody, yeah, I know. Look at that. We are way past our normal time. Okay, my friends, it has been great to chat with you. Thank you for sharing all of your stories. It was so uplifting to be able to share them with you. Have a great night. Have a great week. And I will see you guys all again soon. Okay, take care, everybody, and may animals light your way. Bye-bye.